my Impress presentation. So now let's do a small demo in Ubuntu. So that is kind of a lot of fun, at least for me. So let's go to change directories to documents. I will make this like super big so you can see it. So documents. And here I have, I think, I have a VsCode folder. And as you can see the list, all of those are like tests that I've been doing before. Maybe I will do this a little bit smaller. So let's clear this. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a directory. So mkdir XAF stand up. No, let's do it even better. Let's do it even better. Let's where is Git? Let's do it from here. So file, new repository is going to be here. So let's call this XAF Linux stand up. And let's initialize it with a README, and then git ignore is going to be Visual Studio. And license is MIT, so create. And now let's show this in the file manager. And bam, this is empty. What we need to do is we can either like Control L and copy the path. And then let's go back to the console, because I can do like here, like open terminal, but I don't like this terminal. I like this other terminal in red that I have here. So let's go there. And we're there. So see the same two files. So what we're going to do is, since we have the template already installed, and we did that with this line, if you just run the first part without the version part, it will install the newest version. If you want any specific version, you just put completed with the number. And these versions are the version of the template. It's not related to the XAF version. So I will show you a little bit of how you can handle that, but it's not related to that. It's not that this is XAF version 1. It's not. It's the current version of XAF. So let's come here and, well, let's go to the documentation. I spent a little bit of time writing this. So this is done. It's installed already. So if we want to create an application and set the name, we can do this. And if we don't do anything, it will take the name of the folder. So let's get this command from here, copy, and paste it here. So bam. So as you can see here, is like the template. The template. I need to fix this. This should not be here. So this is a XafBlazor application, including it's using XPO, and it's including all the modules, because there is no wizard. There is nothing like that in here. So it includes basically everything. So it's easier in that sense. It's easier to remove, I guess, sometimes than adding something. So if we do ls to list the directory, that's what we have. So we have a bash script to run the application if we want to run it. This directory props, which is really interesting, that I will show you a little bit later. We have the solution, and then we have, the module Blazor, the Blazor application, and the API. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is like .NET restore. That will we'll look for projects or solutions in the folder, and we'll restore all the Nugets that are needed. So for this, you have to have your Nuget source from DevExpress, like the one that they give you in the download page. You have to have it already set up in the CLI. So everything is restored. So now, if we want to open this in Visual Studio Code, you just write code and then dot and slash // I guess. We have a different name for that in Spanish, so I'm always confused in English. So that will basically open Visual Studio Code in the current directory. So let's hit enter. Here we have it. We have Visual Studio Code. Everything is restored already. So let me walk you through a little bit in the things that we have here. So first, you will see this directory. I cannot make it bigger in here, but this is VsCode directory, which is a hidden directory. And here you will see here are all the snippets that are needed to execute like somehow like code snippet as code rush. So it's as closer as I mean as we were able to make them. There is a lot of room for improvement. We can even create an extension just for XAF development, but it takes time. But this is the first draft. Let's say that. You can modify the delete and add more if you want. These are locally set up for your project. So if you open a new folder, they are not going to be there. We didn't make them globally, so we can share them in the template. So beside that, you have this that is really interesting. We add this prop directory build props to share build properties within all the projects. So if you want to change XAF version or Developer Express version in general, you just change this number and it will change through all the application in all the projects here. If you want to change the target framework version, you just change this number from 5 to 6, for example, and basically it will work for you. So I did that to make it easier in general, because if you check the project here, let's open a project. See, like the target framework is a variable, as you can see here. And also the framework for developers is also a variable, as you can see here. So once you replace those there in the directory build props, everything will be updated. So just one place to update everything. So now there are a little bit more things to show you. So let's see. We did a few changes in here in this template to make it easier, because there are a lot of steps involving deployment in Linux or deployment anywhere. So we wanted to make it as short as possible, to streamline as much as we can. So the first thing that makes this a little bit different than a normal application is, I think it's in the program. I think I even forgot a little bit about this. Is this part? When we create the host builder for the application, we add a new file. Basically, in .NET Core 5 and 6, you can, that can happen in the framework in a different way, because also it's possible in the framework. You can split your configuration file in several files. So basically, what we're trying to say in here is that usually include in the configuration hosting.js and mix it with the application setting. So let me show you hosting.js. So basically, this is something that doesn't come with the normal XAF application, which is any ASP.NET Core application 5 or 6. When you start them, they are listening to the local host. So you can make only calls from the same host that you're running the application. If you do a call from outside, even if your like IP is public, it will not work, because the Kestrel server is not listening to that to any other IP but the local host 27001 or local host as a domain. So we did this so you can like easily, even in once the application is deployed, you can make it listen to other IPs and other ports. Because especially like if you're not using IIS, if you're using Apache or Nginx, basically you will have to do a reverse proxy. So the reverse proxy, what it does is it forwards the communication from outside, from a server that is visible from the outside, to a local internal IP or port. So if you deploy in something like, for example, Apache, and you have virtual services, virtual hosting, sorry, you need to, for example, you have the application, each application should be in a different port, and the Apache will be forwarding to those ports, so it knows where to go. So that's why this makes it really easy. If not, usually you have to compile the application again and redeploy it. So that sucks in general. So to save time, we put that in a file so we can change it at runtime. We just stop the application, change the number, start the application again, and it will be running, listening to other IPs or other ports. So that's kind of really, really good in that sense. It's like, it's easier than compiling. So let's go back to program here. So basically that's what we do. And we're mixing that to listen to more than one, the one IP or one port. So also if you're going to run, for example, if you're usually when you deploy this in Linux, you will always have a real web server outside in front, and it will be forwarding to the application. So that's kind of basically the only thing that you need is like to be able to set it in a port, and that's it. But also if we go to the startup, I think there is another change in here. I don't know if it's in here or it's in the program. Well, let's check here. No, then I think it's in the program. Yeah, oh, here it is. It wasn't just in front of me. Let's, how do you make this bigger? View. Well, I cannot see to make it bigger with Control Shift and the wheel in the mouse. But anyway, so this is the other change, is that the use URL is set to listen to the URLs that we set in the hosting file. So basically that's how you change the port and how you change the IP that you're listening to. So as I said, like you don't need to add more than one URL, not one for HTTP and one for HTTPS, because usually in Linux, you will never expose this directly outside. It will be always behind another web server like Apache or basically Nginx. So, okay, that is one of the major changes, I would say. Now let's talk about the scripts. Like once you create the application with the new XafBlazor, you will get a few things. So we talk about the directory prop. We have this command, which basically will go to the application directory and then compile this and run it. This will give you an error because the updater is not running. If you run it like this, you mean that you're running on release, basically. So the updater will not be executed because the updater is waiting for the debugger to be attached in order to create the database file. So also, and what is most important here actually is this script, which is install a service in Ubuntu. This will work in Ubuntu 18, 20, 21, and 22. So like at least 4 versions. Then we will include more scripts like to deploy in Red Hat, for example, in CentOS. Like we'll try to include like as maybe in the like depending on the audience, as many distros as is needed. But Ubuntu is one of the most common distros and one of the most common distros for servers because it's really easy to use. Maybe CentOS and Red Hat will be like maybe as big. And I guess we'll have to make a version for Oracle Linux because, well, like it's kind of popular in Latin America somehow. So if you want to run Oracle applications using XAF, that run in Oracle Linux, so that will be something to include here. So basically, this what it does is this is like kind of small, but it was really tricky to develop because of the permissions, user, and so on and so forth. So let's go back here. And well, like if you want to deploy an application in Linux, you just have to follow this tutorial. So the tutorial tells you like what you need to do. So you need to run this command to create this command, fill these values inside of a console, which sucks actually. Then set these values. This is not the full file. So you need to basically fill all these variables and then enable the service, start the service and verify that everything is running. And then you can see the logs like this. So all of these steps are, and also here, I mean, they skip a lot of little details. So when you're doing this by yourself, you do it, then you fail, you see the error, you Google it, you fix it. So it's not straightforward. I mean, here you have the big steps, but not all the little steps, especially regarding XAF applications. So all these steps here and all the decisions that you need to make are done actually in the script. So see, this is basically the flow. The idea is that it will show you some information about what you're about to do. Then it will basically delete everything that you have the same directory before. It will compile the application. It will create that TV update script for you. Application start script, stop, remove, because you can also uninstall it. And install a script and a status file, and then a zip file with all of this. Then what it will do is it will copy everything to the server, to the remote server, and then deploy it there and run the installer there and create the service file there, the monitoring file, run the updater, and start the application. So that's a lot of things in general. So here, let me show you. This is an Ubuntu server, and I have like 2 different states. I'm going to restore like a snapshot. So I'm going to restart to the clean snapshot with nothing installed because I use that for test. So okay, it's restore. So what I want to show you is, well, let's go here. Let's see. This is, so if we do if config, this will show that the IP is 192.168.122.154. So save that in memory for a little bit. Let's go back to the XAF application. So if you remember, the hosting file says that this will be listening to all the IPs in the port 8016. Why 16? Because my birthday is on May 16. So I always put that name. Like people put 80, 88 when they don't want to use the 80 port. So I put 8016 because of that. So so it means that if we open the browser, let me just put this here for a while. I hope I'm still sharing the screen and everyone's paying attention, because sometimes in Linux, like some stop sharing for no reason. So I hope that it's not so boring that no one is paying attention. But anyway, let's see. So if I type that URL here, see, this is the URL I show you in the virtual machine. And if I refresh, there is nothing there. So nothing is running. So let's go back to the Impress presentation. So that is the demo on Ubuntu, how you create the application being in Ubuntu and not in a non-Windows machine. So now is going to be a little bit of a demonstration about the shortcuts. So we have the application here, and well, let's make a persistent object. So let's go to the domain business object folder. Let's add a new file. This will be customer CS. And what we will do is, well, let's go to the documentation. And here we have all the shortcuts, all of them miming the shortcuts that we have in CodeRush already. So if we want to create a domain object, this is the only one that is not in CodeRush, is xdom. So let's see, xdom, and then you expand, and there you have it. So far so good. I don't know why Visual Studio Code show like this wrong, but anyway. So let's expand that again. So and this will be customer, and we have a customer, and then this will be XAF Linux standup module business object. So now it's in the correct namespace. So now let's add a few properties to this. So in here we have only like one xprop that we can do for all the that we can use for all the properties. Sorry. So let's do a few properties. So we're going to do xprop. This will be name, and then when we change, see we have a selector of types. I have included like all the primitive types, so this will be a string. And let's see, xprop customer. Let's change, and we set the string. Press enter, and that's it. So then let's do one more. Xprop active, and this will be, I forgot Boolean, but I can fix that really quick. So if I want to fix that, I can go to the snippets and look for the xprop. So here, and so here we have a list of the possible choices of types. You can include the types that are in your application actually. So let's do Boolean. So let's go back to the customer class and xprop active, and now we have Boolean. See, nice. So let's open a terminal and let's compile this just in case. Ooh. I guess we need system. Or did I spell it wrong? Ah, yes, it's bool. Well, I will do like Boolean. System Boolean. And let's compile that again. Here is like, this was name, not customer. So sorry for that. So another xprop name and name. I always hit enter because enter is in the for this stuff. And this is string. Okay, so let's build again. So .NET build. And well, it's working. So I'm going to do like just a few more shortcuts. So let's go and create a controller. So test controller .cs. So let's go back to the documentation. And for a view controller is where this is from. It should be controller view. So let's see. I need to update documentation. So XAF controller view. The same as encoder. So this will be this controller. And this will be XAF Linux stand up. Stand up module dot controllers. Okay, so here we have a view controller. It's exactly the same as a normal view controller. So we also have shortcuts for the action. So I need to update this because this is backwards and also this is backwards. So let's do just a simple action. So here, like actually this is going to be a little bit interesting. So when you create an action, you have to create the handler separately and everything. So we use a different approach. We use private methods for this. So let me go to the constructor and let's do like XAF action simple. And this will be my action. And it's going to do nothing, but basically what I want to show you is that see the body of the handler is inside of the constructor. So we created a private and internal method inside of another method that is supported from, I think, net C#6 or 7. I don't know which version. I think we're in 8 at the moment. So for every action includes everything in private methods. And also see, you have a region here to know where your the code for your action starts and ends. It includes the declaration of the action and the methods needed to the action to work. For example, the pop-up window requires like 2 methods at least to work. So if we want to do another one, for example, let's do XAF action pop-up window, and see this is like more complex. I will leave it as that without changing the name or anything. So see, like is way bigger than the simple action, and it includes also a little like thing that if you want to create a list. So let's remove this. So this will be type of customer, and the type is not here, so we need to import the namespace. So how do we name this? It was customer, I think. Yeah. So okay, so using namespace. So okay, so we have created that, and then we just need to add that to one of the variables here. So it will be this one. So see here the E and the signature of the method is a little bit different because usually they're named really simple, like sender and E like argument, something like that. But in here, basically, we change the name because there can be several E's or several senders. Because see, the sender on the simple action is named my action sender, so it's named as the same as the action. Because we can have several like signatures that are basically the same. If not, we will have an error that the name of the variables are repeated, and of course you cannot have that. So then we'll do like this view. It will be this view that we just created. So let's compile again. This is kind of scary because it's the first time I do it like live. So, but anyway, it's part of the fun. Okay, so we have like a domain object. We have a view controller with 2 actions. So that was like, I can tell that that was everything for the shortcuts. I mean, you can see them on the list and check them yourself. Now it's time to have more fun. So, well, like let's go here. And where is that? Is here. So we have this machine. This is the Ubuntu server that is running also on my computer beside the Windows computer that is running. So my computer hosts like 10 machines at the same time. Sometimes it's hard to know where I am. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to SSH to this machine. SSH is the console communication that you usually do with servers. So let's I will just leave that in there, and I will, because this, like, the font is really small, so it's hard to see. So I will SSH from another console. So we have this console that is the one that we use when we created the project. So let me create another console. So here we're going to SSH the user, which is Joche also, and the IP. So it's 192.168.122.154. And then we need to know the password for that. So ready. So this is an Ubuntu 18. So let's clear. We don't have anything here, so the directory is empty. So now let's go. Well, we can do it in different ways. We have the terminal that we have here where we are doing the build, or we can do it from any other terminal. I will do it in the terminal that we used before to create the application. So I can make the font bigger, so here. So let's go back to the documentation, and now let's do the deployment. So before you do the deployment, there are a few things that you need to do. So if you want to run the scripts, you need to give them permission to run. So for example, this is how you add executable permission to the run script. And then you change the folder and to where this file lives. And then you change mode to that file also. So I will copy this, because I don't want to change permission for the run folder. For the run script, I don't need it right now. So let's do change folder, XAF data server. So that's where the server application lives. So let's go there. We do ls, and here you will see the script. So we just paste this, and now we have executable permissions. So sorry, I was eating peanuts and I think like I have something stuck in my throat. So let's go here and copy the command to deploy. See, the command is kind of really simple. This is an example of the command. So actually, this is the command that I've been running like all the time to test. So you need to, when you do like this, is that you're telling like execute this script in the local directory. You can also only use the script name if you want. Then the IP or the host name or domain of the server, the user in that server, like the remote user that you want to use to connect to the server and copy the files and run the application. And then the path where it's going to be installed. And then the last parameter is that if you need to run the updater, yes or no. So here you can see like what is each parameter. Basically, since I'm super lazy, I'm going to copy this and paste it here. So remember that I opened the browser and there is nothing running here. And the other terminal that I have, this terminal is connected to that server. So let's clear this and let's do some magic. And let's hope that this works, like, you know, like demo effect. So enter. So here's a little review information. So the application that we're going to install is XAF Linux Stand-Up Blazor server. The IP where we're going to try to connect is this IP. the username is Hoshi in this case, and the remote path is home Hoshi, which is my home folder. We're going to run the create update schema, yes, and if we want to continue, let's press Y and hit enter. So now it's asking us for the remote password for this user. So I will type the password. There are some security considerations here. It's prompting the password many times because if we save it on the script somehow, it can be in the history of the console here or there. So that will be a security issue. If you check that, you will see the password there. So it's better to ask for it. So right now we're compiling the application. You can see, you can modify any of the parts of that on the script. And that's it. It's like, it's going to take a little bit. And then basically we'll, now you didn't see it, it says like for a little while like this, it will copy the files to the server using the user Hoshi. Now it says that the remote password will be asked one more time to install the app as a service. And well, before it install the app as a service, since I said yes when it prompts if I wanted to run the dev updater. So see, these lines here is the dev updater. So running the database updater is going to be silent mode off. So we're going to see what is going to happen. This will be like one directory behind, and the name of the database is the same name of the application. Is right now this application, this template includes SQLite, so you can test like really fast. If you want to include something else, I think we'll include the Nuget for Postgres and MySQL. So you just have to change the connection string, and that's it. So hit enter. If the database is done, so we hit enter again. It's changing the permissions to the files, so it makes it executable and everything. And it even read permissions to the database file because SQLite is a file. And now we just need this last part is asking the command, is asking the password for the user one more time because it's going to copy the service file and start the application. So we say yes. Oh no, we're not saying yes. We say like we type the password. And right now it's also checking something. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. It's installing some packages that are needed by the framework itself. This package that you're seeing there is related to one of the posts in my blog. So the server that we're using to install the application is totally clean, doesn't even have the .NET framework running. When we compile the application with this script, is self-contained. So it means that the part of the framework that you need are going to be copied in the application itself. The normal application without like anything like extra is like 86 megabytes, so it's not that big, including the framework itself. So you don't need to have the framework installed in the server. It's already included in the application. But even when you have a self-contained application, or even if you have the .NET framework running on the SDK or the runtime running on the server, you will always end up with this problem. When one of your .NET 6 file or .NET 4 application uses something graphical, you will end up with a GDIP library is missing. So one of the things that the script does is even install that. So to fix that, you just need to run basically this command. So basically, the script is making sure that you have everything that you need in a clean server to deploy your application and to run it. So even about that, this is not related to XAF itself. It's more a problem of the .NET framework in general. So let's go back here to the console. So it installed that part that was missing the server because the server was clean. And then it started the service. And the service is running and it disconnects. So now if we come back here and we refresh, the application is running. So let's log as an admin. And we should see see, we have customer, and the properties. So Jose Ojeda. Let's make a new one. This is going to be Dave. New one, Javier. New, Hector. JP, Jean Paul. So we have here the customers and we have the action. So this action is doing nothing basically because we didn't add any handler to it. But if we click this, we have the pop-up with the customer. It's a list view of customers. So three, three keystrokes, and we have the pop-up. Even it's shorter than in Podrush. It's even way shorter than in Podrush. So this is kind of nice. I mean, if you're using Linux, especially, or macOS or something. So now is the difficult test. So this console we don't need it, so I'm going to minimize it. I'm going to go to the other console, which is this one. This one is the console that we have connected to the server. So if we list, all the files are there. As you can see, there are several scripts. This is the one that we run basically. When we deploy the application, we created a script, we copy the server, and that's the one that do everything. So if we do like nano, which is the text editor for the console, install. It's not nano, it's nano. So nano. This is what we did basically. We installed everything that was missing. This is the listen which was missing actually. Then we changed mode to make it executable. Then we copy the service file, and then we enable the service. We start the service and we show the status. So that's what we actually did after copying the files and unzip it there and everything. So if we run like status, it will ask for the user, the password for the server. So, and now we see the status that the application is actually running. So we know it's running here. So clear. So now, well, this happens sometimes that I cannot type. So let's exit this. Exit. There you go. So clear. Let me connect again. We clear this. So now is the hard test. So let's put this here to the side, and let's put this console in the other side. So right now we know that the application is running. So refresh is there. So let's restart the server, or let's turn it off actually. So shut down. So sudo. This needs to be executed as sudo, like a super user. Shut down. Now. I didn't spell it right. Shut down now. And see, you didn't see it because you cannot see it. So as soon as I shut it down, the application will stop running. I refresh. This is dead. 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 But here we have the virtual machine control. So if I start the virtual machine, see, the server is starting. And if we refresh, oh no, we need to log in the server. So that's me. And see, as soon as I log in, the application is started. So it's beautiful. Here we have it, and the application is still there. So when we reboot the server, the application will be running, and that's it. It's like it's fully deployed as a service. We need to put a patch or something in front of that, but all the steps that takes to do this are done for you with the script. Just one line even run the updater. So so everyone will start running the updater, not just me. So well, that was everything for this demo.